Very good.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Redevelopment Agency meeting of August 6, 2008 is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2 and are closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. The Redevelopment Agency meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, can be viewed on the city's website at www.kclv.tv. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2 and the web the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m. and also on Friday at 4 a.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., and the following Monday at 1 p.m. As you all know, the building is protected by a state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler system, so should alarms activate, please leave by the exits, and once outside, the marshals will tell you when it's safe to re-enter the building. There's no reason to believe that this would ever take place, but we make this an announcement in an abundance of caution. We'll turn to item number 3, which are report of declarations of interest in property located in the existing redevelopment areas. Ms. Bridges?
Thank you, Mayor. For the record,
I think you need to turn the mic on now. Of all the people in the
all the
world,
people that didn't turn it on,
it's unbelievable.
Scott turned it off on me. How you go? For the record, Beverly Bridges, City Clerk. NRS 279-454 requires any officer or employee of the city involved with the formulation or approval of plans or policies in the redevelopment area to disclose any direct or indirect financial interest in said properties. The law requires disclosure to be entered upon the minutes of the Redevelopment Agency and the City Council. This item, along with City Council Item 14, which is on this morning's consent calendar, will have satisfied this requirement. No motion is necessary for this item, and thank you for hearing this report.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you very much for the report. Okay, item number 4 is RA 9, 2008, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution finding the project proposed by the Commercial Visual Improvement Program Agreement, the CVIP, between the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency, the agency, and Expert Inc., the owner, located at 201 North 7th Street, to be in compliance with and in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the redevelopment plan and authorizing the execution of the CVIP agreement by the agency. This is in Ward 5, and the item is related to Council Item number 59 later on today. Mr. Adams.
Good morning. Scott Adams, Operations Officer of the Redevelopment Agency. This is an item respecting a visual improvement grant for a project being developed by the El Cortez Hotel and Casino. It's really taking their existing Ogden House at 201 North 7th Street, and they're really just doing a fantastic job of rehabbing this building into a new boutique hotel. On the overhead, I've got some pictures showing what this project looks like today and then what it would look like on the right-hand side after they complete their improvements. Per our usual visual improvement program, this would be a request for $50,000, but in this case, we're leveraging an investment on the part of the El Cortez of over $6 million. They're taking our building, which has 98 units, I believe, and then doing some enlargement of units, so it will end up being, I believe, 64 units with a total rehab of the interior and the exterior. Our grant applies to the exterior, and you can see they're just going to do an outstanding job of rehabbing the exterior of their building in the same way they've done on their other holdings downtown, and truly they've set the tone and lead as a casino downtown, and being an example that others can follow for rehab. And staff highly recommends approval of this project. Joe Woody is here, the Chief Financial Officer of the El Cortez, who would be pleased to present further ideas or about what they're doing and answer any questions that you might have.
Well, when do you think the project will be completed?
We'll be open towards the year end. Towards the end of this year, Mayor, we'll be finished with the project.
And what will it be called? It's not going to be the Ogden House anymore, is it?
Cabana Suites, the Cortez Cabana Suites.
Well, I think you've done a phenomenal job myself over there. You know, sometimes we don't thank those who have bought into this idea of the revitalization of the downtown, and certainly the El Cortez has done that. I think your mall with the beautiful landscaping has added to the downtown, the porte cochere going into the El Cortez, and I think that this is money well spent by our redevelopment agency. The public doesn't understand sometimes that this money does not come from the general fund. This comes from our redevelopment agency, and this is what it's supposed to be used for. And the fact that we could partner with you on this to this limited extent, I think is a real good thing. And I want you to thank everybody over there for their continued efforts to join us in our vision as a council.
Well, thank you very much, and I want to thank everybody from the city. We've had some small issues. We're burying the power in the alleyway. We're had to bring some water in where that building covers that full footprint. So we've had some, and there's a lot of utilities around there. So we've had some delays related to that, but the city has been super in helping us through all that. And without your support, of course, none of this would be possible. So we have a lot of plans on the books to further improve the property. We're going to model that pedestrian walkway that you've mentioned on the north side of the casino that'll actually be the entryway from the Ogden House into the El Cortez. And that project itself is about $600,000. So, and it's a fairly small space, so you can imagine what that's going to look like. It'll really, really help that side of the street. And I can't express enough thanks on behalf of Kenny Epstein, Mike Nolan, and Lawrence Epstein, partners in the El Cortez, for all the support that you've given us, the kind words and so forth.
Well, the truth of the matter is, of all the downtown, I'm not going to start singling one group over another, but whenever we have anything down on Fremont Street, the El Cortez staff, the crew, the management, they're always out there supporting us as well. So it's a good partnership.
Great. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman?
Thank you, Your Honor. In the interests of full disclosure, I've been advised that because I own property on the corner of 7th and Bonneville, which is in the vicinity of this project, that I need to disclose that. I don't think anything about this project will affect the value of my property any differently than anybody else's, so I feel comfortable in listening and being able to vote if a vote is appropriate.
Thank you. All right, any other comments or questions before I turn to Councilman Barlow? Councilman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I also want to give kudos to the El Cortez for a fabulous job in working with staff very diligently, and for that really revitalizing an area of downtown that we've been working very hard to get turned around, and having the El Cortez as the anchor in that portion of East Fremont really, I believe, will start to trigger more property owners to do just the same and really activate that entire area to really enhance the true beauty that can resonate from that area. So with that, Mayor and Council, I would like to move to follow staff's recommendation for approval of this item, and thank the El Cortez once again for being a great partner and revitalizing a building that needed a lot of assistance and really bringing it up to a standard that we can all be proud of. And I like the Cortez Cabana Suites, the name change. That's very fitting. So thank you very much, and that will be my motion at this time.
All right, thank you. Let's vote on that, please. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 5 is RA 10, 2008, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution authorizing the finance officer of the City of Las Vegas's redevelopment agency to arrange and issue the sale of bonds ranging from $130 million to $170 million in one or more series to finance RDA projects in Ward 1 and Ward 5. Mr. Adams. Oh, Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mark Vincent, Director of Finance and Business Services. This is the resolution of intent that allows us to get started with our redevelopment bond issue. And as you can see, it's got a range, and I thought it might be helpful to explain that this morning. You've seen this chart before on your screen. This is what I presented to you a month or two ago of the history of what's happened with the redevelopment agency. We engaged Kaiser Marston to help us with revenue estimates so that we could size these bonds with our underwriter, and I thought I would share with you some of those results. The Kaiser looked at, worked with our staff and OBD staff to take a look at new development that was under construction. They did not consider any development that's proposed or planned, just under construction. And the graph on the left shows the orange bars is history, and the green bars are their projection for the...
Could you try to focus that a little more clearly, please? Thank you. Can we do a little clearer?
Let's go back, just do one at a
Yes,
time.
we would.
And I recognize I'm taking great risk here giving good news, but in any event, with respect to this assumes values coming in based upon what is currently under construction with some modest growth rate in terms of valuation. So that's what you might consider the high end of what we might be able to finance. And this assumes, after 2009, this assumes no growth in valuation after construction values come on board. So that gives you the high and the low, and we currently, we have a financial advisor, Nevada State Bank Public Finance, that's helping us negotiate with our underwriter, and that's why you see that range of bonds in the resolution. So we're going to try to get as much as we can. There are 3 specific projects we're funding that we needed to fund. One was the remainder of the phases 2 and 3 of the infrastructure for Union Park, the reconstruction or the remodeling and exhibit construction for the postmodern facility, as well as the Stewart Street improvements in front of the postmodern. Those total about $110 million. To the extent we go over that, Scott's staff has helped us develop a list of other RDA projects that, to the extent we have more than money for those projects, we'll pick from our prioritized list of RDA projects and fund those appropriately. So staff obviously recommends approval of the resolution.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Vincent?
Yes, I do, Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Bartlett.
Mark, if you will, go back to the overhead, please. Explain to me again the difference between the orange and the gray.
The orange, those are fiscal years 2005 through 2008. 2008 just completed. Those are actual numbers.
So these are actual numbers.
Yeah. The green bars represents KMA's estimate that the underwriters would be using in terms of sizing the bonds for sale.
Okay, through 2014.
Actually, they go out to the end of the RDA, but for all intents and purposes, the bond community is going to be looking at a shorter time frame. But
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman.
I just want to put on the record that it's my understanding this 130 to 170 million has already been designated where it's going to go. You remember I asked that question in the city manager's meeting?
yes,
And the only thing I want to do is go on the record that none of this has come to Ward 1. I mean, Ward 1's down there, and I just want to go on the record that none of this has come to Ward 1. The only redevelopment area in Ward 1 consists of treasures and less than 10 people. So I say this because I just want you to keep on the record our need for redevelopment funds. And because Ward 1 is listed here, I don't want there to be any misunderstanding. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may clarify,
Really?
the projects that have been identified amount to about $110 million. So I believe there will be additional bond proceeds that staff will have to work with council to prioritize on other RDA projects that we've identified. So when I spoke before, we were trying to get to the minimum of 110 to finish those 3 projects that were identified. There are others that we think we'll be able to fund.
But for our purposes in Ward 1, there wouldn't be any way we could use that with the situation of what's now RDA designated, unless Treasures doesn't want to leave where they are. So that's all. I just want that on the record. I understand you're doing everything you can. I think you're doing a marvelous job with all of this. I'm just trying to get the needs of Ward 1 on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, Councilman Barlow, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to move to follow staff's recommendation for approval of agenda item 5.
Thank you. Let's vote, please. Post. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6 is discussion and possible action regarding the Fremont Square Parking Validation Program, formerly known as Neonopolis, and other parking and easement-related matters for Warula Hayward LLC, located at 450 Fremont Street in Ward 5. Mr. Adams.
This is an item that is a continuation of past approvals and extensions where you, acting as the RDA, have considered and approved a validation program for Neonopolis, and I've continuously extended it. It actually goes back to December of 2006, and then your most recent extension was through today to give us time to negotiate an agreement to provide parking for some of the anchor tenants that the owner of Neonopolis is trying to bring into the project. We are still negotiating that, what will be a parking license agreement. We're focusing on two things in that agreement. One is to provide a certain number of parking spaces to their project so that they're able to secure an anchor tenant. And I will say, as a side note, one of those is Telemundo, and there are representatives here today from Telemundo that will indicate their interest in securing parking in the project to go into the project. And then the other part of that agreement would be some consideration of how we would provide some validation on a continuous basis for some term so that we don't have to keep extending as we do right now. So with those things being said, I think we probably do need to extend this for some limited period of time to continue those discussions. Now, one of the complicating factors of providing it is, as you know, Neonopolis is a very complicated project. We own the land, we own the building, and we bond financed, or I'm sorry, we own the garage. We bond financed the land and the garage, and there are a great deal of restrictions imposed on how we can make parking available and how we can do things when you bond finance something. And it's taken us a little bit longer to figure that out than we would like, but nevertheless, we're doing everything we can to make that parking commitment and agreement available so that we can secure Telemundo's commitment to go into the project. So I would say we probably need at least another 60 days, as we had previously had extended this, and we're very close, but we still need to get our bond council's consideration of the package that we're putting together to be sure that we don't impose any penalties on ourselves for doing something we're not supposed to because of bond covenants on the project. I know Mr. Joshi is here, his attorney, Michael Madkins, and then representatives of Telemundo, should you have any questions about their interest and intent.
I would like a representative of Telemundo to join us up here, please.
I think we have today Celia Chavez. She's the president and general manager of the local affiliate of Telemundo here, I think is representing Telemundo.
Good morning, Ms. Chavez.
Good morning. How are you?
Would you be kind enough to identify yourself for the record?
Absolutely. I'm Celia Chavez. I'm president and general manager for Telemundo, Las Vegas and Denver.
All right. Where do you stand as far as your negotiations? Because I received a phone call from one of the principals of Telemundo, and he asked whether or not the city would have any objection to setting aside 30 parking spaces, and
Right.
that would be the straw that basically would break the back or make the deal.
Exactly. We're very close. I think we're any day now we can actually finalize the lease. We have obviously it is contingent on the parking as well as a special use permit that we've already applied for as well, but it can be any day now. We're very, very close.
We're interested as a council to find out what Telemundo plans to do there.
Well, we operate the television station, so we're planning to have the sales, the technical, the small studio. We do have the news reporters that do work out of the station, and also commercial production as needed.
Would the public be able to see what's taking place as far as the operation is concerned?
That is part of the intention, to leave, especially the production area, the master control, so that they can see what it's like.
Do you plan to have any kind of signage outside?
Yes, we do. We do. We plan to have Telemundo signage. Absolutely, that's very important to us, and that's also part of the pending item. So.
All right. Any other questions by anybody? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Barlow?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Adams, for a job well done with working with Neonopolis, and I know it has been very tough working with Joshi as well. But through it all, he has really stepped up to the plate and moved Neonopolis along very much. Joshi, please come to the microphone. I know that I had an opportunity to speak with you approximately a week and a half ago as it relates to some movement that was taking place out in Neonopolis, and I really want to thank you for correcting those mistakes that were made. We want to do everything that we can to work with you, and we want to make sure that this is a very successful development that you're bringing to downtown, because when you win, we win, and when we win, the entire community wins. So it's all a partnership, and as I shared with you when you sat in my office, that I'm looking forward to working with you, and I want to make sure that we keep our lines of communication open, and if there's anything that you need assistance with as far as breaking some things loose that's holding you up with your progress, I'm willing to work with you and do that. And so I would appreciate it this day moving forward that you keep that in mind and that we don't breach that agreement. And I support the project. I will continue to support the project because overall the development means a lot to the downtown community with everything that we're doing to really bring this community alive. And so for that, I am in support of the 30 parking spaces. I understand, Mr. Adams, that you're looking for a 60-day.
Yeah, the intent here is to confect the effect of a parking license agreement, which would provide a specific commitment of parking and address validation, and bring that back to you at a future meeting.
Okay, I would like to do that. And in the meantime, Mr. Joshi, if you will, just explain to the mayor and council, for those that are listening, as far as some of the exciting things that are taking place at Neonopolis, because like I shared with you before, there's a lot of people in the community that have heard of Neonopolis. However, they're not familiar where Neonopolis is. And so for that, just explain to us all as far as some of the great and exciting things that you can reveal as it relates to Neonopolis, if you will, for the record.
At Neonopolis, for the last about 90 days or so, we have concentrated mainly on the leasing part of the transaction, in which we've been very pleased to receive a Las Vegas theater company to take over 3 of the screens of the Galaxy theaters that would have live, legitimate theater, and that would bring the entire community to come to downtown Las Vegas. And besides Telemundo on the 3rd floor, we also have a radio station that we are now going to start negotiating with. On the 2nd floor, we have a arts museum that has signed with us for 25,000 square feet with workshops and galleries. That would also bring culture of the suburban area into the downtown. As well as on the 4th floor, we got 3 restaurants coming up and 1 ultra lounge bar. That particular tenant came from your office, Ricky, and also from Scott's office we had a lot of tenants come in. So those are the exciting tenants that are coming into the project.
Okay. And go ahead.
That's it.
That's it? Okay, well, thank you so much. So, with that being said, I am in support of the 60-day extension of bringing this item back before the council at a future redevelopment agency meeting. Mr. Joshi, you had something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, before I go there, the lease documentation with Telemundo will take until end of October. So I think it would be better to give an extension for a little longer time. We were going to look for at least until the end of the year, if that's possible to do. Because we're also signing a lot of leases, and we'll be in the construction after the special use permits are granted in October. Your dates for SUPs are approximately in October, November. So by the time we get all these things resolved and with the documentation with the OBD offices, I think it would be better off to get it until the end of the year.
What are your thoughts in respect to his recommendation, Mr. Adams?
I really don't have any objection to that. I certainly, based on what he indicated in October, having it at least through the end of October would be warranted, which would be a 90-day extension. But if you choose to go to the end of the year, I would have no objection to that. We're going to try to crunch this and get it done. So we'll be coming back to you with a definitive parking agreement that would basically obviate having to do this in the future. So that would be fine.
Okay. Sir, did you have something you wanted to say? Please state your name for the record.
Mike Matkins, I'm attorney for the ownership of Neonopolis. We've been back here a number of times. I don't even want to go into it. I think should be signing from advice from others. We finally convinced Telemundo to sign the lease with a condition that they can get out if we don't have these things. I still think it's going to take time, and nothing seems to happen around here in 60 days.
Well, that's not our fault.
nothing seems to happen 60 days, let's call it our fault, but it's going to take time. And I doubt that all of this gets done in 60 days.
Okay, then my recommendation at this time would be to bring this item back 120 days from now. That would be my recommendation of this item.
All right, is that your motion?
That's my motion. Thank you, Mayor.
Let's vote on that then. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, folks, item number 7 is citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Redevelopment Agency. No subject may be acted upon by the Redevelopment Agency unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come forward, give us your name, and we'll put the 3-minute timer on.
Tom McGowan, Las Vegas resident. In preface, this communication is for the direct attention of the mayor. He may share it with the rest of the council members at his discretion. I have the overhead, please.
Overhead, please. Thank you.
What you see is 601 East Fremont. When it gets into focus, you'll be able to read it. I'll read it for you. On the top of the building, it says Finlandia Museum. In the prominent in the center, it says Oscar's Speakeasy. Oscar's my father-in-law from Detroit, Michigan, who happened to be an avid devotee of Las Vegas. On the left, you'll see Rick's, Rockin' Rick's, and you'll see a place called Club Roulette. And on the bottom right, you'll see Nick's Music My Way. In candid summary, 601 East Fremont will be the key starting point for the successful redevelopment of the entire entertainment district entitled Fremont East, and also expanding beyond Fremont East to the East Fremont corridor as far as Maryland. Again, at your discretion. The bottom page is the developmental timeline sequencer. 601 can open on New Year's Eve, 2008. That's within 4 months. It will require timely approval on your part, and in the assumption that you really want successful redevelopment, here's your chance. The important thing about Fremont East, although it may not have been initially intended as such, currently it happens to be the pathway out of the recession in the city of Las Vegas. I mean that very seriously. Don't let the stock market fool you. It may be up today, but it's a roller coaster. And the second wave hasn't hit yet. When the upper levels of the income groups begin to feel their respective portion of the mortgage meltdown, you're in for a real surprise as far as what can happen. And so my best advice to you is hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Because if it comes and you're not ready for it, I would hate to say what the consequence would be. In the meantime, this proposal will do the job for you. It can be completed by January 2010. That gives you plenty of time to consider what your legacy will be. Total cost overall will be up to $300 million. The opening segment of 601 will be $3 to $5 million, and that includes about 4 to 5 venues, maybe more. It's ready to go as soon as you are. And I would indicate the net cost to the city of Las Vegas will be $0. In conclusion, I would like to offer my consultant services to the representative for Ward 1 regarding the need for and prospect, the positive prospect of redevelopment in Ward 1, given at her sole discretion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to be heard at this time? I have one question of Mr. Adams. There's been some interest in the status of REI and what entitlements were given to REI. And I think that has to be clarified, because it was certainly my intention as the mayor, and I believe the council had the same intention when we voted that the entitlements, which included the gaming overlay, were contingent upon the arena being built. And if the arena was not going to be built, as represented to us, that those entitlements would not be passed on for any other developer who would not be building an arena. Is that correct?
This is more of a legal matter, I think, than it is a redevelopment matter.
That is correct, and that's the representation that we made before the Gaming Policy Committee, was that if this project was not completed, that those entitlements, the council would find some way for those entitlements to be dissolved. At this point in time, those entitlements are still in place. We are working on bringing an item before you in the future to resolve the issue and clean it up.
Yeah, it has to be cleaned up, because I don't want anybody out there who might be a potential purchaser to believe that they're going to be purchasing the entitlement of gaming if the arena is not also provided to the city of Las Vegas.
And it was made clear to us by the Gaming Policy Committee that if the arena didn't proceed the rest of the project, that they wanted the entitlements to go away. So it wasn't just the project as a whole. They didn't want it to be a lure for a hotel casino as opposed to an arena.
So let's wrap it up quickly one way or the other, okay? Mr. Jervik? Very good. Okay, anybody else like to be heard at this time?
Good morning, Teddy Russell, resident of Las Vegas. Your Honor, redevelopment people. In southern Nevada, and in Las Vegas in particular, we intend and presume to be a model not only for the great nation of America, but to the world at large. Your Honor, thank you for the hat waiver. This is through you to and for the world. This Friday, 8/8/8, is the most propitious day for we, your servant Theodore, will have for 1,000 years. This is only my Father's world. Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. The Creator God of heaven and earth, of Adam, Abel, Seth, Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, Israel, King David, Solomon, Isaac means son of laughter, 12 holy apostles, 11 martyrs, and all saints in Messiah, Jesus, him and them and him. We are merely one out of at least 650 million covenant sons and daughters of the one living God worldwide. We are a self-volunteered slave to the God of heaven and earth. All I am and have been blessed with is available equally, absolutely equally to all. This Friday, 8/8/8, seems to be about the Olympics, and it is. But the disgrace is that right now, 2 billion people on this planet earn $2 a day or less. It is irrefutable that China, by geographic size and population, is the democracy of democracies in the earth, and the economy is in failure. In said 1,000 years, I defy all people to produce a single solitary example of any pure democracy that ever was anything but an economy, in which was it and ever of and for and by all people. I defy you to show me a democracy which was a society for people rather than an economy which exploited.
With all due respect, Mr. Russell, these comments have to be limited to matters within the redevelopment agency. And
well, we are about to be a model to redevelopment of the world. Is that acceptable, Your Honor?
I don't think that was the purpose of the public comment at this time. Perhaps during the general public comment, you want to give us that.
I would be most happy to, and I do thank you for your time, sir.
Very good.
I did want to cover problems that the Fremont Street experience, and hopefully you'll be generous with the time. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Okay, anybody else like to be heard? All right, folks, the redevelopment agency meeting is adjourned. Our